life trying to understand it. How to do it better. How can I share this with other people? How can I make videos, posts, and most importantly, provide for my animals so that it makes less work for me and it makes them as safe and as happy as possible. And being in nature with these animals has taught us a lot. So, working as an assistant herpetologist sheds light on how the animals use their habitats, and I've learned this from doing radio telemetry. Some of you longtime turtle fans might know somebody by the name of Bob Zappalordi. I've been working under him for the last few seasons as an assistant herpetologist, and thanks to him, I've gotten to go into the real specific aspects of these habitats in nature and starting to learn, unlocking secrets by breaking through the barriers of seeing where these animals are at all different times throughout their active season, but not just that, also during their dormant seasons, and even during times of the year throughout the annual cycle, how they're responding to these seasonal triggers. Times that we as reptile lovers would think, oh, we're not going to see anything. And you go out there and it's only 55 degrees and you saw a lot because you knew exactly where to look, and you start to learn how the animals utilize that. If any of you got the Badager issue, Russ, I forget what issue it was, but this box turtle, very special animal, and I'm not talking about Otis. This is a wild box turtle that we came across at one of our study sites doing terrapin work. The reason he is special is not only because he's blue. That photo does absolutely no justice. If you look at the cover of the Badager, you'll see just how blue he is. He lives almost exclusively in the salt marsh. He hibernates or brumates in the water of the salt marsh. He forages, he hunts, he basks out in the salt marsh. This turtle doesn't use the canopy or the forest floor of the deciduous forest that surrounds the salt marshes of New Jersey. He literally lives out there. And let me tell you, the first season that I radio tracked him, he went so far out into the wide open salt marsh, I couldn't get a signal on him. He was gone almost the entire summer, and then sure enough, just when I thought maybe he had died out there, or maybe he got hit by a car or something, I found him late October in the exact same spot that he was the year prior, trying to hibernate in the salt marsh. So that animal, is one that you remember, not just because he's a pretty animal. You learn specifics about what he did, and it starts to open your eyes. Maybe we don't know that much about box turtles, but what do we actually really know about these animals to begin with? You listen to all these incredible talks that have been going on the entire time here so far. My mind's been blown, and I've been to many, many different conferences here, overseas, the whole nine. You gain so much, but being in nature, you learn quite a bit. So these are just some photos of doing that. That's me with a bog turtle. That's one of the notched box turtles. That's my family releasing pine snakes with us after they hatched. This is, working with box turtles. That's Bob in the field when we were doing bog turtle work, and these are diamondback terrapins by the dozens crossing the roads while we are trying to process them and save them while they are going to lay their eggs. And then this infamous trip, just this past spring, thanks to Eleanor, a good friend of mine from the European Turtle Alliance, we got to go out to France, the island of Corsica, and also the south of France to see Hermann's tortoises in the wild. And no, that's not an album cover or anything. We just looked that damn good up there. You'll notice something about this photo, folks. There's no coconut core in this photo. That's because there's no coconut core fairy flying around out there every time she sees a tortoise going, wait, before you step there, let me sprinkle some down. You're good, you can eat there too. It's rocky, it's sandy, it's dry, it is harsh, it's rugged, and the animals, you can see it in their appearance. It reflects that. So, in a sense, it makes you calm down a little bit. These animals can handle these environments. They have for so long before we came along and as kids got started just becoming obsessed with them. So, why does South Jersey work? Because Garden State Tortoise, where we raise our family and our animals, is in southern coastal New Jersey, and it's not what you might think. Most people think of Newark Airport. I hate that place just as much as you do, unless it's bringing me somewhere cool. The outer coastal plain is where we live. That's just one little spotted turtle area for you. There's other species that occur there with them. We have milder winters, which means many species can brumate or hibernate outdoors naturally. It also means that our giant species and even more exotic species can stay outside longer than northern portions or even inland portions that are further south of us. We get that coastal influence, so the winters are very mild. My parents will call me and say, how much snow did you get? So the kids are so pissed off because they have to go to school today. We got no snow. because we really don't get it. It would actually be nice to get more because we would get a bit more of an insulative layer, but it's just too mild. We have a natural, sandy, well-drained substrate and a ton of sun. Do we get days in the spring and the fall where Mother Nature has no clue what the hell she's doing? Yes, absolutely that happens. But we are in a very sunny location, and the substrate where we are, I don't have to do anything to it for these tortoises. And I'm talking everything from desert tortoises to all the different testudo species to Texas tortoises, you name it, they're out there, they're living their lives, leopard tortoises. There's a lot of various edible vegetation for our tortoises. So when my lawn guys come over and they try to pressure me into having my lawn done nice, I tell them to get lost. And they say, why? I said, because everything you're looking at in my property is free tortoise food. They don't understand it, but I don't need them to. It's all what I want the animals to eat, and it helps me with the workload. And not to mention, South Jersey supports very massive wild turtle populations. We see eastern box turtles all the time passing through our property, eastern painted, muds, northern red bellies, and of course our Diamondback project is right on our road. And here are some examples of these southern New Jersey habitats where these animals are. The giant photo there, you can see Diamondback terrapins. They're basking on that mud flat. It shows you just how wide open and sunny it is. This down here in the corner, this is a northern pine snake nest chamber. She's actually in there laying her eggs right now when this photo was taken. But the reason I want to show you that is to show you that white sand. We call that sugar sand in the Pine Barrens. Very tortoise-friendly stuff. They can dig in it, they can nest in it, they can eat on it, and they don't need the coconut fairy. That right there, you could fence that whole section in, and your tortoises would be fine. Obviously, you need to have that on your property, but I wanted you guys to see that because I think a lot of people kind of, think differently of New Jersey. And let me tell you, certain parts are pretty bad. But which species? A wide variety of these animals thrive outdoors here at GST. And we keep turtles and tortoises from 6 of our 7 continents. The USA native species, European species, and some of the Asian species can live their lives outdoors 24/7, 365. Other exotic species can stay outside. They'll go back outside between March or April, depending on the given spring. They will come back inside right now. Literally, I brought everybody in last week, right before I came here. And early planning goes a very long way in being able to provide more for these species in an outdoor, naturalistic environment. And from a young age, this is what I wanted to do. I would bring preformed ponds into my bedroom, and I would try to prop them up with bricks, because I didn't want to put my turtles in a fish tank. I wanted to put them in a preformed pond. And my dad would say, Chris, that's going to topple over and ruin my house. I said, Dad, you don't know what you're talking about. Guess what happened? Yeah, it was absolutely horrible, but the turtles looked awesome. So these are just some random shots of some species we work with enjoying these naturalistic environments. You've got Testudo greca cyrenaica, which is the Libyan Greek tortoise in the upper left corner. That is Cora barretti, and that is, of course, your cherryhead redfoot, all in habitats that we specifically planned out for them so that they would have what they need in it. And of course, if we have to make modifications, we would. But it all started in the early days and selecting these locations for enclosures and, of course, breaking ground. But this is a time when wood buying did not kill your wallet. Everybody knows what has happened with wood. It's pretty hard to build an 8x4 without being, do I pay the electric bill? Do I feed my kids, or do I build a tortoise pen? So I get it. All enclosure perimeters are built from pressure-treated planks and timbers, which is 100% safe. We've been doing this since I was a kid. Actually, there's never been an issue. I don't know if anybody can rival that. If you do, please later speak up about it because it would be important to know. I've never had an issue with it with all different species and ages. We select open, sunny locations for sun-dwelling species like the testudos. The forested areas on the property are selected for species needing less sun and more canopy. And this was shortly after we bought the property in the house in 2016, and the very first planks I started putting in, and you'll see some of those mini cold frames and greenhouses there. But if you build turtle pens, or you're in construction, or you do anything, I put this one in for you to pull on your heartstrings. Yeah. Okay, this is a real problem, all right? This is a real problem. When I saw this, I was like, I can't wait! I can't wait to show everybody this. So I dealt with plenty of that, I still do, but there's no such thing as a bad piece of wood. You can cut it up and figure out how to make it work for you, and sometimes Home Depot will give you a couple free pieces. That's a total lie, they've never done that for me. All right, enclosure design. As cheesy as it may sound, you need to be the turtle. As I said, I get on the ground, I start thinking about how things are going to look because it is so important to see things from the animal's perspective. There's a Chinese box turtle right there, and she's just utilizing a simple piece of driftwood because instead of going around it or instead of going under it, she climbed over it, which means she got exercise. So remember, it's not about you. It's about them. Of course we want it to look nice, especially if it's on our property. You don't want somebody coming over going, what the hell is that? You want them to go, wow, what is that and what's in it? I get it, but you got to think about the animal. So, what's in the animal's line of sight? Can it see wide open? Is there nothing there to block its sight? That's not good. You're going to end up with a stressed out animal. Sure, these animals get used to us after a while. They run to us for food. They might even want to get a beer at some point for all I care. But you don't want them to see absolutely nothing in their line of sight. There should be rock, there should be logs, there should be grass, there should be anything like that can break things up for them. Get on the animal's level, see what it looks like, and create obstacles, uneven terrain for them, and it offers them ways to exercise. Like I said with that box turtle right there, instead of going around it, she climbed over it, gave her exercise, and that helps prevent muscle atrophy. So many of us have seen in rescue situations or outdated care situations where you've got an Aldabra tortoise or a Galapagos tortoise that's dragging itself. It's not trying to get to anything. Those animals should have a tall walk, just as tall of a walk as a smaller redfoot tortoise should have. And so should a box turtle, and so should a spotted turtle when it hits the land area. It should be able to lift its body off the ground without issue. Spacious areas with plenty of these visual barriers offer them enrichment, but not just enrichment, also security, because they will hide under them at times. And you will create microclimates in designated areas for specific behaviors like nesting, grazing, basking, burrowing, etc. But sometimes the animals start to select these areas on their own. You might say, hey, you know what, I want to make this area this way because I want them to nest there. The turtles aren't stupid. They've got so much ingrained, and they might just be out to make your day hell, but whatever, they're going to figure out where to go. So you might set it up a certain way, it might turn out a different way, but the point is, it's interesting for them and enriching. So, the tortoise pens, we'll start with those. From the smallest to the largest, they all need space. That's very important. Know the species, so you know its requirements. Of course, there's a lot of similarities with these animals. We know that there's certain requirements and parameters that colonians need to have in order to thrive and live these amazing lifespans that they are destined to live. But, a couple examples. Mediterranean species need sun and places to safely brumate. With well-drained ground, no grassy lawns, and soil, sandy areas are going to be the best. The American gopher species need very similar habitats than testudo species, in some cases, of course, more arid. The tropical species need more humid haunts, spotty sun, water and canopy, and the giants need giant amount of space with access to indoor accommodation. Figure those things out first and then get to building. It'll make your life easier. You will start diminishing stress levels with the animals by trying to get things into place first. But hey, I'm with you. There's how many times you get an animal and you're not ready for it yet. You're excited, or it's just the way things work out. That's fine. But know the species, know what it needs going into it. So here's some more of those early photos showing the planking system that I'm doing with the greenhouses. I did not build those greenhouses. A lot of people ask that. I wish I could say that I'm that good, but I'm definitely not. These are greenhouses you can find on Amazon. They're obviously not made for turtles and tortoises, but they work beautifully. You just make entrances for them. You can build them up, or if it's for smaller species, you can go right on the ground, and it really helps them to thermoregulate. And we learn to utilize all available space, but also, like I said before, by trying to make it look nice. So this is a newer pen that just went in this year for Indian star tortoises, and it's literally to the left of our house when you walk up to it. So talk about being able to keep a close eye. But the point is you can be creative. Plant life, visual barriers are key. So we select safe plants. There's a nice list right there for you. We've done videos on like really long safe plant lists. You got websites like the Tortoise Table that will let you know things that you should feed, not feed, feed in moderation. Use your judgment. Sometimes things are exaggerated. These animals, for the most part, do know what they're doing. A lot of times if they eat something toxic, they will stop. I know there are horror stories out there. But those are just some safe plants that work for tortoises and, of course, turtles too. Driftwood, priceless. I get more excited when we are driving on the road now and there's a piece of driftwood on the side of the road. I will slam on the brakes, I don't care. I don't care. And my wife would be like, what, did you see a turtle? Nope, there's an awesome piece of wood, and you're getting out and you're helping, we're getting this thing. Am I right? I mean, driftwood is, you get those gnarly, rooty pieces and you can just see the animals on them already. Fallen logs, slabs of bark, they all make great hiding areas, and they're places for the animals to pivot for basking opportunities, not to mention if an animal flips over and it has something it can pivot on to get back over, well, there you go. If it's out in the open, it may not be able to do that. Fieldstone, river rock, boulders, they all look great. They heat up quickly, which is nice. That sun comes out, the rocks heat up, the turtle or tortoise finds it, they are now at optimal activity levels. And the greenhouses, like I said, they're excellent. They really are amazing. If you live in an area, obviously don't use them here, but if you live in an area like southern New Jersey or Connecticut or anywhere where you're gonna get those annoying seasons at times, it lets you keep the animals outside longer. Or in some cases we actually hibernate them in them. Just last week when I said I brought everybody in, species like leopard tortoises and Galapagos came inside, but our testudo species simply got barricaded, or some of them at least. Some of them are left out to choose where they want. But a lot of our testudo species simply got barricaded into them because they're completely safe in there. And those polycarbonate panels help keep the animal at a safer temperature. And even on those frigid nights, I don't have the data on me, I should have included it. We have noticed that they are well out of the danger of freezing or anything. So this is what can end up happening. I don't know why my arms are up like that. It's a very embarrassing photo. With all those water this is a nice drone area of what the pen started to look like in mid to late spring. The plant life coming in, you can see the driftwood, the different grasses and rock work and everything. And I don't really think you can see a single. Oh, there's a tortoise right there. So that's good. But that's just a quick overview of just one section of our yard. That particular section is most of our testudo species. And you can see like the spotty areas are that awesome loamy sand that we have. A couple more shots. Earlier pens, as they started to grow in, you got to be patient. And then the same pens from a different angle out, with them really growing in well. And then I just love this photo because of the tranquility of it. That's our front door right there, and it's just a Herman's tortoise in perfect harmony, utilizing a log, warming herself up for the morning before she ventured out to do tortoise things. More pens for tortoises. Pancakes coming out, being pancakes. That's an overview of their enclosure, more testudo pens back there. And it's hard to capture everything, but I tried to use as many photos of different angles so you guys can see, this is like strategic. Nothing in nature though is perfect. Mother Nature doesn't line up the pine trees in a perfect row. There's one here, there's one there, there's a grass there, there's two grasses growing into each other. So I try to keep that in mind, that it doesn't have to aesthetically be perfect, but it's still an art form in itself. And when you spend time, out in the wild and seeing these places, or even just looking at a book, I mean, we all grew up on these amazing books where you got to see the early days of these habitats, the photos of these habitats that were in these books, and then videos, and you really gain something from it. And in my opinion, I'm just as obsessed with the habitat as I am the animal. The habitat gets me so excited. Yes, the workload sucks, but it really, the animals look great in them. So leopard tortoise, those are Tunisian spur-thighed tortoises, and it's a nice angle of their pen. You can see, we actually did modify a little bit the substrate for them. We made it a little bit rockier for them, a little more sand content, and that's just a very happy fat. Oh, they are the tortoise. They're gonna snooze. But that is not all. Turtle pond.